Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group number 2. Today we will present our topic about controversial issues in mere Briggs type indicator MBTI personality test. Next, I will introduce our group member. First, my name is Siti Zubaidah binti Abu Hasan Shari. Norfaizi Izzaty binti Mohamad Lazim. Sabrina Adriana binti Shamsul Amri. Syaza Syafiqah binti Mohamad Azhar. And Nurul Hikmah binti Mohamad Iswan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sabrina. So, as mentioned by my group member earlier, today our group will present to you about the MBTI and the controversial issues related to this MBTI. Okay, before we start, let me introduce to you about what is mean or what is actually MBTI is. Okay, MBTI or the Myers-Briggs type indicator is actually a psychometric test that based on the theory of psychological type that introduced by Carl Jung. MBTI is actually founded by a mother and a daughter, which are Isabel Myers-Briggs, the mother, and her daughter Catherine Briggs in the year of 1920. The format of this psychometric test is consists by 93 items or 93 questionnaire. And usually, when an individual taking this test, it actually requires them around 15 to 25 minutes to complete these inventories. Okay, next, I will explain to you about what is actually MBTI measures. Okay, MBTI actually provides a detailed explanation about an individual preference or individual styles in three aspects. Okay, the first one in their decision making, and the second one in how they see the world, their perception on the world, and the last one is the mechanism of interacting with the external environment. Okay, MBTI actually measures an individual in 4 types of dimension. Okay, the first dimension is extraversion versus introversion, whether a person is an extrovert or introvert person. The second one is sensing and intuition. Sensing people is usually a very detailed person, while intuition people, they actually a people who have a whole image about their experience. The third dimension is thinking versus feeling. It is related. The third dimension is actually related to the aspect of decision making. Okay, thinking person usually when they are making a decision, their decision making is actually based on the facts, the fairness, or also the logic. While the feeling people, their decision making style is actually influenced by how their decision making is actually can affect peoples around them. And the last dimension is judging versus perceiving. Judging people is usually a very well organized, a very punctual, and they like to plan whatever that they want to do. And the perceiving people is usually a very spontaneous, adaptable, and open to new ideas. Okay, some of you might be thinking and wondering, is MBTI is a popular psychological instrument in this world? And the answer is yes, because according to Stein and Swan 2019, MBTI is considered as one of the most famous and popular, as well as the most widely used psychological instrument in this world. Okay, MBTI actually recorded 2 million users each year. It means like in this world there are 2 million people or more who are taking this psychological instrument every year. and the company who published this MBTI psychological instrument are able to generate income as high as $20 million in each year. Okay, the reason why MBTI is popular is, according to Pittenger 2005, is it is popular due to the success of the publisher's marketing. And the other reason is because the scoring schemes for MBTI is actually quite simple. So people thinking that MBTI is actually easy to conduct, the score is easy to calculate, and people will be able to know their personality, their own self in an easier way. Even though MBTI is considered as one of the most popular and widely used psychological instrument in this world, there are a lot of criticism and controversial surrounding MBTI tests. According to Stein and Swan 2019, MBTI theories falters on rigorous theoretical criteria in that it lacks agreement with known facts and data, lack of testability, and possesses internal contradiction. Do you know that there are a lot of scholars out there who also label MBTI as a pseudo-psychology or false or also known as false and fake psychology? There are a lot of controversial related to MBTI, especially in terms of the founders, the concept of human personality that address in this psychological instrument, the validity as well as the reliability of MBTI as one of the most popular psychological instrument in assessing one's personality.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Norfaizi Binti Mohamad Lazim, and now I will continue this presentation where I will talk about the controversial in MBTI among the founder and the origin of the theory. Now let's start with the founder. According to Bain 1997, the original developer of this personality inventory were Catherine Cook Briggs and her daughter Isabel Briggs. Okay, they began creating the indicator during the World War II, and they believing that a knowledge of the personality preference would help women who were entering the industrial workforce for the first time to identify the sorts of wartime job where they would be comfortable and effective. Okay, however, neither Briggs or Maya was a psychologist. Catherine Briggs obtained a bachelor degree with honor in agriculture from the Michigan Agricultural College, and Isabel Maya achieved a bachelor degree with honor in political science from Swarthmore College in Pennsylvania. While neither Briggs nor Maya were psychologists, the instrument they create does have psychology as its foundational elements. The book Psychological Types Open, which the MBTI assessment is based, was the work of Carl Jung, Swiss psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, and founder of analytical psychology. Both Maya and Briggs spent many years studying Jung's theory in psychological types in order to create the MBTI assessment. Okay, implicit in the criticism of Briggs and Maya's lack of formal education in psychology is the notion that valid and useful idea and outcome can result only from people who possess formal academic education in their field of study. Okay, now let's move to origin of the theory. According to Carroll 1994, Jung's theory of psychological types, as published in his 1921 book, was not tested through controlled scientific study. Jung's method primarily include clinical observation, introspection, and anecdote, which is the method that are largely regarded as inconclusive by the modern field of the psychology. Okay, Jung's type theory introduced a sequence of 4 cognitive functions which are intuition, thinking, feeling, and sensing. Each of them has one of two orientation, which is extroverted or introverted, for a total of 8 functions. The Myers-Briggs story is based on these 8 functions, although with some difference in expression. However, neither the Myers-Briggs nor the Jagian model offer any scientific, experimental proof to support the existence, the sequence, the orientation, or the manifestation of this function.
Is the reliability and validity. There are various reports that offer a consistent patterns that suggest the reliability of the MBTI does not exist expectation from its theory. And Howard and Cascaden in 1979 provide data that raise additional and equally important questions regarding the reliability of the 4-letter type score. Their analysis indicated that a large portion of their participants received different type profile when tested. McCarley and also Cascaden in 1983 has replicated these findings and demonstrate that across a 5-week test-retest interval and 50% of the participants receive a different clarification on one or more of the scala. Okay, so according to work in 1992, he administrated the MBTI to a large sample of individuals and then asking the participants to describe in writing their type preferences. Work found that as many as a third of the participants believed that the MBTI 4-letter type formula mislabeled them.
Next, I will continue about the validity. Factor analytic studies of the MBTI reveal consistent findings that also questions the construct validity of the instrument. First, the factor structure is not consistent with the design of theory of the MBTI. According to Sip, Alexander and Fritz 1985, found a factor structure that was inconsistent with the 4 factors specified by the MBTI and found only a marginal relation between these factors and the MBTI scales. Then, other researchers have reported finding that inconsistent with MBTI theories. According to Lord 1991, found that cluster analytic technique failed to produce results consistent with MBTI theories and, like others, faulted the instrument scoring procedures used to categorize individuals. Then a second problem is the correlation among the MBTI scales. To reiterate, promoters of the MBTI treats the 4 scale as independent dimensions of one's personality preference. If the scales are independent measure of different dimension of personality, there should be little or not intercorrelations among the scale. According to Burgess and Vygotsky 2000, mentions that the available data suggests that there is sizable correlations among the scales. Other inconsistencies arise when one compares between MBTI score with the score of other measure of personality. Sip and Alexander 1987, the EI scale of the MBTI correlates with other measure of extraversion, including Izzaty, or a version of the Big 5 measure of the personality. This is an interesting finding because Jung's account of extraversion is substantively different from other theories of extraversions.
Okay, next, the other controversial issues that rise among Myers-Briggs types indicator or known as MBTI was the personality that MBTI measured itself. So, according to the McRae and Costa in 1989, okay, the MBTI is unusual among the personality assessment for some reason. Okay, because what? Okay, because MBTI only measures only from the truly based on the types rather than traits that specify in a continuous scale data. Okay, so what is the continuous scale data? Okay, continuous scale data is a numbers, okay, that can mean different things, okay, depending upon how they are used. Okay, for example, like internal or ratio scale data. For your information, okay, MBTI did measure only the 4 of the 5 major dimension of normal personalities in 5-factor models, okay, such as agreeableness, openness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and also extraversion. Okay, so McRae and Costa stated that actually Jung's theory, okay, is incorrect and not well handled, okay, by the MBTI because it cannot provide a solid basis for interpreting it. Okay, so according to Pittinger, okay, 2005, okay, when the individuals, okay, take an MBTI test, so each individuals personality will fit into the 16 potential types, okay, and those types are based on the 4 dimension or the 4 aspects of the personality as below. Okay, we have extroversion versus introversion, and then second, sensing versus intuition, third, thinking versus feeling, and fourth, judgment versus perception. So here are the 16 potential types of personality that have in MBTI. So someone can maybe have personality types of ISTJ, or maybe ISTP, or maybe ESTP, or others. Okay, so people, okay, or individual who does the MBTI assessments, okay, the scores that each person's will be labeled, okay, will be labeled based on the dominant choice, okay, which means that it is possible, okay, to the person or to the individual to have 2 potential types of personalities in MBTI. For example, okay, based on the study that was conducted by McRae and Costa in 1989, okay, the Big 5 did measure of 5 personality traits or 5 major dimensions of normal personality, which is one of them is the extraversion. Okay, so what they found is they found that an individual can be highly introverted or maybe highly extroverted, or maybe they can use both, which is they use both extroversion and introversion on the extraversion scale. Okay, so the study called them as an ambivert pupil. Okay, so what I want to show is the differences, okay, between the 2 assessment, okay, between the Big 5 assessment and MBTI assessment. Okay, as you can see, okay, the Big 5, okay, in assessing extraversion, okay, the Big 5 measures on how much the extraversion a person has and use, okay, while the MBTI assessment, okay, indicates, okay, which preference, okay, between the extraversion and introversion a person has. So, McRae and Costa conclude that it is better to implement or to adopt 5-factor models in MBTI so that it can increase a broader and descriptive classification traits to the someone personality.